You've got a title to defend, and it's important you get on with life, and you know, I'll honour that, and I was very, very happy to come back and see the players and staff.
And in terms of sort of where you are ahead of the season, can you quite believe you're doing another one?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've said this to people many times. I don't think I probably expected to be in this job as long as I have been. But I think that's a healthy attitude, one that has got me to this point, because I don't take anything for granted, including my position, but equally because of the demands of the job and the expectations to win. I know how much it takes out, so I was grateful for a really long break this summer. That was at least, you know, getting up and doing normal things. People don't realise, football managers don't maybe get the time perhaps that we want, but I'm as committed as I've always been, because that's who I am, and been so impressed with the team in the moments I've seen the team in the pre-season, and just really looking forward to watching us open the season at home at Stamford Bridge.
Can I ask you what the most normal thing that you enjoyed doing was?
The most normal?
The one that you don't normally get to indulge in?
Just having a morning at home. You know, whether that's drop Harry off at school and lift some weights, not extra early, do it there, go for a lovely long hour-long walk, you know, go for a lunch somewhere, do normal things, pick Harry up from school, take him swimming, normal stuff. I don't get the time to do that in season the way I want, maybe international breaks. So yeah, that's easy to enjoy. Certainly keeps the grey hairs off.
It sounds like you're as hungry as ever. When
Yeah.
you wake up Sunday, do you think the feeling was
Yeah,
still
listen,
there?
the you know, my passion doesn't die, and it evolves, and there are different expectations I'll place on the team in terms of, you know, I want to be more than just winning. Always. We evolve. We've seen that in our recruitment. I've been super impressed with the new players, and I think we've had a really good pre-season considering all of the challenges that come with that, and I'm an optimist, so I always look at all them challenges and think it's pretty normal for me after so long in the job. My difficulty is going to be, we've got one game a week until November 17th and a squad of 25. So I have to manage really well in the background to manage everybody's expectations so that everybody plays their role and plays their part, and remind everybody that it's teams that win trophies and that everybody's on the team. And, you know, as I know this dressing room so well, I know everybody will give it everything they have this weekend and onwards.
And it was quite a busy summer for a number of them, pretty confident mentally, physically, they're where they need to be.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single answer to that, because when players have played with tournament years and very little recovery, sometimes you get away with it in the first part, but it catches up at Christmas or onwards. We just have to individualise in the background to make sure we get that right for every single player throughout the course of the year, and that's one of our strengths.
Do you think that we will start a season in the next few years without talking about kits for a start? Envisage a time?
To be fair, Lydia told me on the way down you might ask me this question, and forgive me with the week I've had. I haven't seen it to post a comment on it. I guess you have to ask that other club.
We've asked, and the people that made the shirt, we've asked them too. And also, can you imagine starting a season where you've got all your players the whole kind of 2 weeks before you're good to go?
Like I said, it's normal for me. I've been so used to seeing players in Olympics, World Cups, Euros. It's 2023, right? I can think back to when I was coaching in 2003 and having this same challenge. So it's not unusual for us, to be honest.
Should it not change by now?
I think the coordination of the international calendar, absolutely, between FIFA and UEFA has to change, but that's the work I think that is going on in the background to make sure that we don't, have major events running into August.
And just finally for me, clearly you want to lift the trophy again.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you want from this season? Not just from this club, but from the league as a whole. What will make it a success?
I've always pushed and been an advocate of what we do. I hope we get a good broadcasting deal at the end of the year, because that's important for the growth of the game. I hope we get even more prize money so we can trickle down to the rest. I hope commercially, marketing wise, we stay in big stadiums, so we all have to accept that it costs money if we want to be there. It's not a charity, it's a business. And we have to be in a position where maybe there'll be bits of trial and error to get that right. I know for us as a football club, we're learning about how to keep improving that. Nonetheless, I want to be there. I want the players want to be there. Fans want to be there. You guys always get better looked after there. So we need to keep pushing to make those things happen. And no cancellations because of weather.
Lovely stuff. Anybody else in the room? Jerry?
Can I ask you about Millie Bright? Because
Mhm.
obviously you got 4 or 5 national captains in your side of things, but she stepped up this summer, didn't she? She had a difficult approach to the World Cup, stepped up as the England captain. What is it you see in her sort of leadership ability?
Listen, first of all, it was of no surprise because I know how diligent she is off the pitch. Her attention to detail and all the tasks that matter to come back from an injury or a surgery to prepare herself for a country was never in doubt. And I think that's what, to be fair to lots of the players, that being professional means they learn that more often than not. Millie copes in every circumstances, not just when you're doing well. She'll do it in a crisis. She'll do it when her back's against the wall. And I think England really needed that, particularly considering Leah's absence. I mean, she's an extraordinary human and I love her to bits. I really do. I've got so much love and respect for her because how much she's sacrificed for this club, for her country, and I'm honoured that she will be our club captain this year. So I'll keep building on the good work she's doing.
Moose?
Hi, how are you?
Okay.
Can I take you back to playing at Stamford Bridge where you start on Sunday? You've often said to me about how you love Kings Meadow as well because it's your home and it's full. Talk to me about playing at Stamford Bridge when sometimes maybe it won't be full compared to Kings Meadow where you know every week you're pretty much going to be full.
Yeah, I mean, we have to start somewhere. But we also have to appreciate that to open a men's football stadium, which, by the way, I hope I'm renaming a club stadium. It's no longer a men's stadium, it's a club stadium. That you have to hire a set number of police and volunteers and stewards and everybody else that costs money to do that. So, of course, ticket prices across the board have had to raise. Our average price has moved from £7 upwards, and we respect it's a jump to the fans. But we've got world-class players on show and we have to value that. No, we don't need to make ticketing ridiculous, but I think paying £12 to watch an unbelievable team at Stamford Bridge on Sunday, for me, is affordable. But if those might have more money and they want to spend a little bit more on tickets, so be it, much as you do for a theatre ticket or a nice cushy cinema seat. But I think we have to respect that nothing's going to be just given. If we're asking for an equality of access, which is what I am, we have to, side by side to that, challenge these guys plus marketing and commercial to make sure it's viable. And we've got a lot of work to do, not just at Chelsea, but across the board.
You've got new players as well, and as with every summer, you say goodbye to players. In your case, you say goodbye to good friends. How different every season is it for you, in this season in particular, with Magda going, having new players to come in and for them to get used to you, but you also to get used to them?
That's the fun part. It really is, because with that they bring different energy. I call this group coming in the docu-series group. and they all watched the docu-series, so they seem to know the team before they got here, which I always laugh with Kat and Mia about. They bring, for me, you know, what you want in a team that's constantly evolving, and that is whatever their special talents are, and with that their own different dynamics. And there's definitely a different dynamic in the dressing room this year, no question. It's certainly even more diverse, which is fun, but I enjoy that part of it, and I know the rest of the team always look forward, probably as you do, when new people come into your place of work. It's nice, and it adds a different bit of flavour.
One of your most special talents is Fran Kirby, who last season had a lot of injuries. I've just seen her outside, she's raring to go for this year. How important is it for her, first of all, to be fit and healthy and well and playing, and secondly, have we seen the best of her yet?
Oh, I mean, listen, Fran is a generational talent. She's undoubtedly one of the best. Our goal is to keep her on the grass. You know, I say that to her. Fran wants to do everything all of the time, and I love her for that. But we have to manage all elements to keep her there, because she wants to do everything all at once, and that's because she's so driven at such a top level. And I'm sure with us having a fit and healthy Fran Kirby, our side will certainly be in a better place for it.
And finally, I know you love to win every game, and you will try and win every game, but because you've gone so close in the last few years,
Yeah.
how much is winning in Europe and the Champions League more important, or as important, let's say, as winning your domestic title? We always ask this of people. I mean,
Yeah, I understand. I mean, it's a bit like asking you the same question in return. Like, is there any, is I don't know, the litmus gold standard of your year defined by whether you interview Pep Guardiola or not? Maybe it is. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm saying that what I have learnt over a long period of time is that whenever you start to obsess about something that is, you know, a single moment, albeit the biggest moment, you just take your eye off of the prize of all the little things that you have to do today. And I've trained myself over so many years to go, of course that's an aim. It's an aim for all of us to win all of the trophies, not just the Champions League. But my biggest focus and effort is the fact that we've lost 4 opening games in a row. That's my biggest concern. We need to win on Sunday. We haven't done it for 4 years running. So I'm not thinking about the Champions League. I'm thinking about Stamford Bridge and making sure the team, and trust me, training hasn't been easy, and it won't get any easier. In fact, Sophie Ingle told me today she thinks it's harder than it's ever been. Good. I'm glad to hear that. So, you know, I want to win Sunday first before I want to win the Champions League.
Thanks, Rose. I'm conscious of time, so we're going to come across to Zoom briefly. If we can take a question each from you guys. I'm sorry, just conscious of time. Can we start with Emma at BBC Sport, please?
Yeah, thanks, Celia. Hi, Emma. Thanks for your time. Nice to see you.
Hey.
Quite a lot's been covered, so I just want to ask you a little bit about ACLs, if that's okay, because I know that, you know, you and your staff are quite passionate on kind of, you know, developing things like medical science, etc. in the game. Just wondered, in your opinion, is there something that, you know, the women's game as a whole can maybe do to accelerate, you know, the knowledge on ACLs? I know we keep coming back and talking about it, but is there a way that we can, you know, speed that process up and just, yeah, limit, obviously, the injuries that are just happening all the time?
Well, first of all, have you listened to the audio book yet, Emma?
Not yet, actually.
Okay, that might answer some of it. But how many ACLs have there been in this early season in the men's game? Because we forget that. We're hyper-focused on what's happening in the women's game. And we always think, like I said, it's a bit of a confirmational bias. We think, listen, one ACL, boom, you know, there's an epidemic problem with it. And don't get me wrong, there are challenges with keeping players on the pitch in general. And I think that's probably my point, is it's about expertise, it's about alignment, it's about, we don't have a lot of research so you have to do it internally. I think on a much bigger scale, it's about creating courses in the future around women's health, the women's game, female athletes, etc. And I think when it comes to coaching courses, exactly the same. Like, I think about going through to my pro license, and never once did I ever have a discussion about the challenges in the women's game physiologically, let alone psychologically, let alone tactically, let alone technically. So the governing bodies worldwide have a lot to do to make sure there is equal access to knowledge of the game. And that for me is where the biggest challenges come, is sometimes because the knowledge isn't there, we just see everything as an accident. Oh, is the player injured? It's an accident. You know, well, I don't know. I don't think of things in a really, really straightforward. Being struck by lightning 4 times, that's an accident. That's unlucky. That's massively unlucky. It's not an accident. It's massively unlucky. But when it comes to managing loads and when it comes to managing female health, trust me, there's so much work that has to be done. And it's not that I don't want to share that. It's just the work we've done over here over 11 years has come probably from mistakes that have been made, learnings that have been had. Like one of the big pieces of research, my medical team are going to kill me, but I think it's good. It's a good moment. I'll read it to you. I think this is an important point. That was Millie, sorry, just texting me, do you need me? Not now. It was, what's her name, Laura? So this I think is really, really good. So valuable lessons to learn around injury analysis. The vast majority of injuries, literally, the vast majority of injuries come within 10 days of a change of something. So like from international grade to club, or club to international grade. Well, we have to look at those correlations. Why do they happen? And it's not as simple as, well, that different team might have a different training load, or they'll have a different travel schedule, or they'll have a different recovery day prep, or they'll have a different etc. etc. We're going to have to really reflect on how much we do. This is why for me this is about what happens at UEFA and FIFA, because until they consider a calendar where it's players that are with their national teams for longer and then a bigger chunk of time, instead of 6 weeks change, 6 weeks change. If you want to do a piece of research, go back and look at all of those major injuries and how quickly they coincided with those big changes that I referred to. Maybe it'd be the beginning of the season, or etc. Combined with menstrual cycle, combined with boots, pitch, I guess. For me, they're minimal. That's my opinion. So, a lot of work still to do. A lot of research.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, that was really interesting, and hopefully you don't get struck by lightning 4 times this weekend.
One fella did in America, poor guy.
Emma, you've got to listen to Kill the Unicorn, and that will reveal a bit more.
I know, I apologise, hold my hands up, sorry.
Next week, need to sort it out. Dan Pentland, quickly, if that's alright. Sorry, Dan.
Hi, Emma. Hope you're well and sending my wishes following the news in midweek. I just wanted to ask about Robert Villahamn and what you know about his coaching style and what you're expecting from Spurs this weekend. Yeah,
I mean, what do I know about him? Obviously, from recruiting players in Sweden, I had the chance to see his team play, so I'm aware of a little bit of the way his teams play, but they've only played a few games, mainly behind closed doors, so we have limited information. But I expect to see an aggressive Tottenham come out at Stamford Bridge, whether that's in the initial press, whether it's from a mid-block situation. I still think they'll be aggressive and compact, difficult to break down, haven't conceded many goals during the pre-season period. I'm sure with time, when he gets players into that, only time will tell what that team will look like. But I think some of it will still look a lot like last year, but with obviously a different imprint from the manager.
Thanks, Emma. Best of luck. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Can we come across to Tom Gary next, please?
Hi, Emma. Thanks for your time. I just wanted to double check on Frank Kirby. Sounds like great progress, but just wanted to check if she's fitting well for Sunday and available to play Spurs.
She is. She's fit
Thanks,
and
Emma.
able.
Great, and yeah, much condolences to you and your loved ones.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom.
Can I just ask something? You mentioned about Kat and Mia.
Mhm.
Can I just ask about Ash? Because in her you seem to have not only a dependable new defender, but also quite a wise owl as well. I mean, she's more experienced than a lot of the newcomers.
She's a leader too. Can hear it on the pitch. She's a leader. She's not afraid to say something in the game, and that's been noted. She's flexible, as I've said before. She can play left and right. She's really enjoying her start at Chelsea, and I know I always say to her, she's such a lovely person, such a superhuman.
Is she able to bring a new dimension then? And with her experience and where she's been playing, is she able to kind of broaden the scope of the team?
Yeah, I think if you look at the players we brought in a lot of press-resistant players. You know, who can beat the press. You know, whatever that done individually, and you know, I think we've got players that have got the quality to do that, not just pass your way out. You know, can solve pressures, and you have to, because so much is man for man in every. You know, teams are going to be matching up, so you've got to be able to solve it. I think Ashley can do that quite well. I think Shoka Nuskan does it well. Kat Macario too. Mia Fischel, super talent she is.
They're all strong characters as well.
They're brilliant. They're cool cats.
Yeah.
This lot.
Yeah.
They are. They're cool cats. You ask our commercial team. They're a good lot. Good lot.
I think it feels like a good time to kick on with the written section. Molly, should we come across to you?
Hey, Molly.